Welcome. This is Darcy Peth with Raw Strategic. We are contractors to the King County Wastewater Treatment Division. Welcome to today's webinar, King County's Wastewater Today, Wastewater Treatment, Realities, and Reinvestment. We will begin the call in just a moment. Hello and welcome to each of you. You are participating in King County Wastewater Treatment Division's Wastewater Today Educational. We expect this talk to be a total of about 1 hour, including some time to ask questions towards the end. To start, there are some housekeeping items. We wanted to cover a few tips on how to participate in the webinar. First, you are all muted, which we've done to reduce background noise to improve everyone's experience. We won't have participants use audio today. If you can't hear us well, you can adjust your volume by clicking on the microphone on the bottom left. If you have technical issues or questions about connecting to the webinar, you can click on the chat option in the toolbar. This will send a chat message to the webinar host. To ask questions about the presentation or contribute comments, click on the Q&A window in the Zoom toolbar at the bottom of your screen. Note that this is different from the chat box. We request that you use the Q&A box to help us make sure we get a chance to read your question aloud. You can submit questions at any time during the webinar, and we will answer as many as we can toward the end. Please be sure to type your question aloud using complete sentences so it can be understood clearly when read aloud. What you submit will not be shown to others during this webinar, but please know it may be wrapped into a post-webinar summary report. We may not have time to get to all the questions today, but we will follow up as needed after the webinar. And after the webinar, a recording will be posted online in English as well as in a couple of other languages. Finally, like most of you, we are all practicing social distancing and delivering this webinar from remote locations, so please excuse any background noise.
I would like to begin our time together with a land acknowledgement prepared by our team member, Pamela Stearns. We would like to begin this event by respectfully acknowledging that we are on the land of the Duwamish people, which includes the Muckleshoot, Snoqualmie, and the Tulalip. And we honor all of the Coast Salish people whose land and water supports us. As a governmental agency that is occupying Indigenous lands, we feel it is crucial to do what we can to remember the true history of how we got here, and to work towards fixing the injustices that still exist for the Indigenous people who live here today. Let's take a moment to remember that the Indigenous people were and continue to be the original stewards and caretakers of this land. Thanks for joining us here today. Here are the faces to the voices you'll be hearing on this webinar. My name is Sonia Linda Benahart, and I'm a project manager for the King County Wastewater Treatment Division. A lot of what I focus on is leading the teams through all types of projects, from minor asset management projects to long-term planning projects like this one.
And my name is Kelly Foley-Cruz, and I'm a community services planner for the Wastewater Treatment Division. My job is to inform the public about wastewater projects and planning initiatives, and to promote community participation in decision-making.
We would like to get to know who's in our virtual room. We want to ask you all, what type of affiliation do you have? Please go to the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen and type in any answer to us. This is optional and not required, but it's helpful to know who our audience is. For example, you might say you are a water or environment professional, a government employee, a student, a tribal representative, an interested community member or organization, or someone else. I'll just read a few of these. Thanks to everyone who's already replying. We have a government employee, water professional, NGO, interested community member, water engineer, retired university faculty, community member, resident of Seattle, and a few more government employees, environmental advocate. That's just a few of the many people who have written in. So thanks, and welcome to all of you.
This is great. We have so many different members of our community in the virtual room today. Many of us can agree that our relationship to water is part of what makes this region special. Puget Sound, our lakes, rivers, and stream give us food, transportation, jobs, and fun. Many of you may not know this, but King County has been treating wastewater for over 50 years. And we've come a long way since then. Lake Washington used to be too polluted to swim. In the mid-1960s, we built our regional wastewater system to keep harmful human waste out of our waters. Now, Lake Washington is one of the cleanest urban lakes in the world. Other water bodies, like the Duwamish River and Elliott Bay, have also improved. They have less bacteria that can make people sick, fewer nutrients that can cause toxic algae blooms, more dissolved oxygen for fish to breathe. We've made a lot of improvements for our region's water quality, but we still have more to do. Part of the reason why our work is still not done is because our region is continuously changing. We have a lot more challenges today than we did 50 years ago. So here are a few trends that are shaping our future. The region is growing. We have a population of 2.2 million in King County, with Seattle being one of the fastest growing big cities in the US this decade. With a growing population, real estate and buildable land is becoming more scarce and more expensive. The cost of living continues to rise, pushing our workforce farther away from work. The rising cost of living makes paying utility bills a hardship for many households in the region. We're also seeing climate change stressors, including more intense storms, sea level rise, and drier summers. We know that there are declining numbers of Puget Sound southern resident orcas and declining salmon populations due to a wide range of issues. We also have increasing regulations that impact our utility. Many of these challenges are not unique to King County. There are utilities across the country that are constantly developing forward-facing strategic plans so they can be better prepared for the future. We are facing critical decisions that will affect the region's water quality, so it's time to make a plan for the future of our utility. Some of you may have heard about the Clean Water Plan since we launched it last year, but if you haven't, the Clean Water Plan will guide decisions about our wastewater system and how to protect our local waterways and our health in the future. This plan will also look at how we are managing water that runs off streets, parking lots, driveways, lawns, and sidewalks when it rains. So this is a plan all about making right investments at the right time. The goal of the plan is to identify policies, programs, and projects that really reflect community priorities and guide us towards the best water quality outcomes for the region. And when it's complete, the plan will provide a path for water quality investments in the near term, as well as the long term over the next 40 years. This webinar will bring you behind the scenes of our key issues and challenges, how we make decisions, and the factors we need to consider, including public input. We want to continue a public conversation about what challenges and solutions matter most for our water bodies. We also hope that you will stay engaged as we develop the Clean Water Plan. This webinar and future engagement opportunities will give you the background and context to weigh in on future decisions. Again, we appreciate each of you for tuning in, and we hope you will learn something new today. We clean water to protect Puget Sound rivers, lakes, and streams. So now we're going to talk a little bit more about King County Wastewater Treatment Division and what we do. Our regional system has a big job to do. There are over 400 miles of pipe and about 700 employees handling wastewater for 1.8 million people every day. Not only does it operate around the clock to sustain a healthy environment and to protect public health, this vital infrastructure supports economic development that enables our region to thrive. Our services go beyond just treating wastewater. It also includes recycling water, energy, and biosolids. We also implement green stormwater infrastructure to reduce runoff. We engage in pollution cleanups, like on the Duwamish waterway. We educate the public and businesses on ways to protect water quality. We also work on other types of projects like combined sewer overflow control and site restoration. King County's wastewater utility is entirely funded by ratepayers who invest in our programs and services through their monthly sewer rate and capacity charge bills. We take our obligation to provide the highest levels of service and accountability to our ratepayers seriously. That's why it's so important to us that we engage with the public on the Clean Water Plan. To our agency, success means clean water. It means honoring our legacy while keeping a promise to future generations that our beautiful environment will be here for them to enjoy. But we don't do this alone. There are a number of other organized efforts, government agency, tribal governments, and communities working side by side to protect our orca and salmon, to keep our water clean, to build healthy habitats, support green building, and train and educate our communities. Some of you who do this work may be listening to this webinar right now. So thank you for all that you do. Through the Clean Water Plan, we want to engage with everyone who cares about our clean water future so that we can hear from you on what matters most and use that guidance as we make tough decisions. The Clean Water Plan is a multi-year project, and this graphic shows what we are undertaking to develop the plan and where it ultimately ends up. To walk you through the timeline, we first started engaging the public in 2019. We gathered information on priorities and identified key issues related to the region's water quality. This year, we will evaluate the possible actions we could take to deal with the key issues our utility is facing, using a combination of technical information and what we heard from the community. Through 2020, we will also be initiating the State Environmental Policy Act process, also known as SEPA, where you will be able to comment on the scope of the Clean Water Plan. This first phase is called the SEPA scoping period. Throughout 2021, we will continue to refine the strategy, and we will move forward with the SEPA process, where there will be additional opportunities for you to provide comments on the plan. Lastly, in 2022, the King County Executive will recommend a Clean Water Plan to the King County Council. The goal is for the County Council to adopt it. As our engagement with the public is ongoing, and we will continue to share opportunities where you can provide input into the plan. As a part of the Clean Water Plan, we are listening to our community members to find out what challenges and solutions are most important to you. As I mentioned, over the past year, we've been talking with our community members about their priorities about our clean water future. We conducted stakeholder interviews, did a public questionnaire, hosted an online open house and workshop, engaged our employees, and attended a number of community events to speak with people around the region. During this outreach in 2019, we asked, what is your relationship to rivers, lakes, and the Puget Sound? What should we consider when planning our water quality future? Which issues are most important to you? This slide lists a few things we heard over and over again from you. We heard that preserving and improving water quality for our sound for orcas, fish, and people was very important. We also heard that maintaining good service, avoiding sewage spills, and maintaining affordable rates, even in the face of climate change, were also of high concern. You asked that we increase collaboration with our partner agencies and prioritize water quality programs that get us the best results and maintain an effective workforce. Lastly, through all of this, we continue to hear how important it is that we communicate all of this work with the public and how decisions are made. To meet these priorities, we have tough decisions to make about our wastewater system. We have a long list of wastewater projects that could cost billions of dollars in the coming decades. And completing this list may not get us the outcome our region wants for clean water and healthy habitats. There may be other investments that would do more for water quality. People pay for wastewater projects through monthly sewer rates and a capacity charge on new development. As the cost of living in King County continues to grow, how do we balance our needs with costs in a way that is equitable and sustainable for the region? This is our challenge. So next, I'm going to hand it off to Kelly to walk you through some of the main issues that we are facing as a utility.
Thanks, Sonia. Again, I'm Kelly Foley-Cruz. I'm a Community Relations Planner with King County Wastewater Treatment Division. So King County's Clean Water Plan is about making decisions about our future investments in clean water. We've identified 8 key issues that we're considering as we develop the Clean Water Plan. They fall into the categories that you see here on your screen. Wastewater system issues such as treatment plants, sewer pipes, and pumps. Wet weather issues such as how we manage stormwater and combined sewer overflows, pollutant reduction, and finance. How we invest in these key issues and plan for a number of variables over the next 40 years takes a lot of planning and analysis. For today's presentation, we'll examine the first category here you see on your screen, shown in blue, wastewater system issues. We'll take a look at the other 3 categories in future webinars or engagement events. So let's start diving into the wastewater system topics. Our first issue is maintaining an aging sewer system. In our engagement so far, people across the region told us to avoid sewer system failures, and we take that job seriously. To do that, we need to maintain the system that we have, and there's a lot to maintain. We have 5 treatment plants, 3 regional and 2 local plants, 47 pump stations that push flows from lower elevations to higher elevations, 25 regulator stations that control flow within the system, 4 combined sewer overflow treatment facilities or wet weather treatment plants, and as Sonia mentioned previously, nearly 400 miles of sewer pipe. Today, it would cost more than $20 billion to build the wastewater system from the ground up. So we need to take care of our existing system. On top of that, our wastewater system is getting older. The treatment and pumping facilities were largely built in the 1960s and include more than 55,000 pieces of equipment, instruments, and control devices, as well as the land and buildings that house and protect that equipment. Some of the system was constructed earlier than that. We even have pipes that are 100 years old. That older infrastructure can be more expensive to inspect and maintain, and that often increases the total cost of the pipe over its service life. It can be less expensive to rehab or replace older infrastructure. Aging pipes, pumps, and treatment plants need maintenance and upgrades to prevent overflows. On the left side of your screen, you'll see an example of an aging sewer pipe with grease and fat buildup. On the right is a photo of our East Side Interceptor pipe. The East Side Interceptor is a regional sewer line that carries wastewater from East Side homes and businesses to our South Treatment Plant in Renton. The pipe is 50 years old, was corroded in places, and nearing the end of its service life. So we recently repaired about 3/4 of a mile of that pipe by installing a liner on the walls of the pipe. The liner allows the pipe to stay in use for many more decades. These are the kinds of projects we need to do continuously to maintain this system. Another issue we have in our wastewater system is capacity in our sewer pipes and pumps. To prevent system failures like overflows, we also need to make sure we have enough space in pipes and pumps. On the left side of your screen, you'll see King County's sewer service area shown in white on the map. Our service area includes most of urban King County, parts of South Snohomish County and Pierce County, and in orange you'll see our system of sewer pipes. The water you use when you turn on the sink or flush a toilet goes down the drain into your side sewer. Your side sewer connects to the sewer lines of local agencies, which then connect to King County's larger regional pipes. Our system of pipes and pumps then move the sewage to one of our 5 treatment plants and finally return the clean water to Puget Sound. So as we look to the future, we expect the current trends that we're seeing today of tremendous population growth and development to continue. An important responsibility that we have as an agency is to ensure that our system of pipes and pumps can keep pace with those changes. But population growth and development aren't the only reason we need more capacity in our pipes and pumps. In most of our region, there are separate pipes for rainwater and sewage. But rain and water from the ground can enter our sewage pipes through leaky pipes, improper storm drain connections, and other means. This is called inflow and infiltration. Things like tree roots, which you see on the slide here, can also damage pipes. When clean water starts entering wastewater pipes, it takes up space that could otherwise be used for wastewater. We estimate that infiltration and inflow makes up about 75% of peak flows to our treatment plants in the winter. And looking into the future, we also know that climate change will bring more intense storms. That means we need to plan for even more rain getting into those pipes. As a result, King County needs to make sure that our sewage pipes and pumps are big enough to carry wastewater from people and rain and groundwater that gets into the pipes. Otherwise, we might have backups, sewage spills, or overflows. A third issue we are looking at as part of this plan are upgrades to our wastewater treatment plants. Our plants need to expand over time to serve a growing population. The plants are designed to treat a certain volume of wastewater, which we typically measure in millions of gallons per day, and a certain amount of organic and solid materials, which we typically measure in pounds per day. In 2018, our wastewater treatment plants treated an average of 175 million gallons of sewage every day. That's about 265 Olympic-sized swimming pools of wastewater. The treatment plants have to be able to treat more water in the winter than in the summer, so the capacity for each plant listed on your screen is an average wet weather flow design criteria. In 2019, the county completed a study to assess the capacity of the major treatment processes within each of our 3 regional treatment plants. We also looked at the timing of when that capacity would be exceeded. What we found was, due to rapid population growth, we're now seeing higher than projected solid and organic matter at our treatment plants, even though the flow into the plants is not increasing as fast as projected. We believe that's primarily due to people being conscious about using less water. Based on population growth projections, several of our treatment processes have capacity limitations within the next 10 years. And overall, we will need significant additional increases in capacity within the next 10 to 20 or more years. Some of these limitations can be addressed by adjusting our operations or through relatively small projects. Other limitations are anticipated to require larger capital projects. So those investments need to be considered in the context of other system needs, opportunities, and community priorities. During our engagement efforts, we've also heard from many community members about the importance of protecting rivers, lakes, and Puget Sound from pollution. To meet this priority, one of the things we need to consider is the level of treatment at our plants and what upgrades are needed over the next several decades. It's important for us to consider that regulators may ask us to take more pollution out of the wastewater we treat in the near future. In addition, technology for wastewater treatment is improving and methods for reaching higher water quality standards are available. However, higher levels of treatment cost money to build and operate and often use more energy. And there may be more effective ways to keep pollution out of our water bodies that we may want to consider. Finally, the fourth issue for today is recycling resources from wastewater. We heard from community members during our engagement how important it is to prepare for and fight climate change and explore water efficiency. As part of a way to address that need, we're thinking about how we can lower our impact. At our treatment plants, we do more than clean water, we also create valuable resources. We call the rich organic biosolids that we remove from wastewater loop. Loop is actually made from the poop we all produce. After it's been treated and cleaned, the finished product contains essential nutrients that boost plant growth. Loop improves soil structure and kind of acts like a sponge to help the soil hold water. Using loop to build soil also stores carbon, and it's one of the reasons King County's Department of Natural Resources and Parks is carbon neutral. Each year, King County produces 120,000 tons of loop, which is enough to fill a football stadium 70 feet high. Without this program, much of this organic waste would be sent to a landfill, costing more money and creating a larger environmental cost. As part of the Clean Water Plan, we're considering how recycling and reuse operations like loop production might need to change in the next 40 years to keep up with changes in like population growth, and also looking at what opportunities might exist. We also recycle water. King County's recycled water is created by advanced wastewater treatment that mimics nature's processes to filter and clean used water. It can be used safely for almost anything except drinking. Our recycled water is used on sports fields, farms, and golf courses. It's also used for industry processes and environmental projects. Another resource that King County recycles from our treatment processes is biogas. Biogas is a source for renewable green energy. Since 1966, King County has been capturing and cleaning gas produced in the treatment process. Some biogas is converted into electricity via cogeneration engines, and some of it is scrubbed and sold to local utility companies. At West Point Treatment Plant, we can produce the equivalent of energy used by almost 6,000 average Pacific Northwest homes. As with Loop, we're considering whether there are additional opportunities for recycled water and biogas recycling in our future operations. So here's a look again at the 4 issue categories that we'll be looking at through the Clean Water Plan. We talked a lot about wastewater system issues today, shown in blue, but upgrading the system won't be enough to achieve all of our water quality goals. And that's because other issues need our region's attention too. Moving forward, we'll provide other opportunities to learn about wet weather, pollution reduction, and financial issues in the plan. So stay tuned on that. The Clean Water Plan is a big opportunity, and we have important decisions to make. Our future investments are a major opportunity to support the economic, social, and ecological health of the region. And there's no doubt we need to invest in our sewer system to protect people's health and the environment. However, even if we could raise sewer rates enough to do all the projects on our list, we would still have water quality issues. As we weigh the trade-offs, we also need to think about how costs affect ratepayers. People pay for the wastewater system through their monthly utility bills. In addition to water quality improvements, people are being asked to fund other important regional efforts, such as transit, roads, stormwater, salmon recovery, and affordable housing. Understanding how the combination of these costs affects people as the cost of living continues to increase in the region is important. And we know we can't do this alone. Solving all the regional water quality problems will take time and collaboration. So we hope the information we provided today helps you better understand the issues being considered as part of the Clean Water Plan and to feel inspired and think more about the future of our water bodies. We believe this planning process is important because we're talking about the legacy we're leaving for our next generation, and we hope you see that too. So thank you to everyone for joining us today. We'll continue to have conversations and provide updates to communities across the region as this plan is developed and finalized. As Sonia mentioned previously, we do want to let you know that we'll be starting a State Environmental Policy Act or SEPA process sometime this year. So be sure to join our email list or sign up for text updates to get the latest information about upcoming engagement opportunities. And with that, I will hand it back over to Darcy for some questions.
Thank you, Callie. Now, we'd like to open it up to you to submit your questions to the county using the Q&A button. As a reminder, that Q&A button is different than the chat button, and we request that you use the Q&A button to ensure we get a chance to respond. We will read aloud the questions you have typed into the Q&A box. We might not have time to get to all the questions, so if you don't hear us answer yours live, we can follow up with you after the webinar. And during this portion, you will also be hearing 2 other voices from people answering some of the questions today. They are Steve Toltzman and Tiffany Knapp. Steve and Tiffany are the Clean Water Plan project managers for the Wastewater Treatment Division. Our first question is, how did these 8 issues get chosen to prioritize?
Hi, Darcy. This is Sonia Lena Benohar. That's a really good question. And so to answer that, these issues reflect the various trends that I mentioned earlier that our region is facing. We've also, out of the regional engagement we did in the past year, they have been priorities that have risen up as things that we should consider when developing this plan. Also, they are issue areas where there are large cost investments. The Wastewater Treatment Division can work to influence these issues, and they also allow us to explore additional opportunities for investments that can get us better water quality outcomes. Thanks for the question. Great.
We've had a question about combined sewer overflows, or CSOs, as part of our wastewater treatment infrastructure. Can we respond to that?
Yeah. Again, thanks for the question. This is Sonia. CSOs, combined system overflows, is, yes, we definitely consider that part of our wastewater treatment system. But because we have such complex decision areas, we decided to focus this specific webinar on the issues facing our treatment plants. And because it's CSOs and stormwater issues are such a big component of this project, we wanted to dissect that information into another possible webinar or other engagement opportunities where people can engage more deeply in the subject area. I'm going to open it up to Steve or Tiffany if you wanted to chime in.
Thanks, Sonia. This is Tiffany Knapp with the Wastewater Treatment Division. I actually think you answered that really well. As you said, it is CSOs are a big focus area for us, and it is something that we want to make sure we allow extra time for. So it's definitely part of our infrastructure. It's an important part, and something that we hope to address in a future effort.
Great. Next question is, how will regulatory agencies be involved, such as EPA and the Washington Department of Ecology, who had approved the previous long-term control plan?
Again, this is Sonia Lena Benohar. Good question. I'll just start off by saying we have ongoing discussions with EPA and Department of Ecology. Department of Ecology also sits on our external advisory committee for the Clean Water Plan, and so there's conversations happening there. So on the engagement side, and then I'll pass it over to Steve and Tiffany to chime in and add more.
Hi everyone, this is Steve Tolsman. I think Sonia's answer is absolutely perfect there. Nothing further to add.
Thanks, Steve.
One person is interested in knowing how many people have joined the webinar. Answer to that question is, I think at our peak we were at about 267, at about 250 now, and we're thrilled that each one of you has decided to spend an hour with us. Next question, what is a wet weather treatment system?
Again, this is Sonia Lena Benohar. Wet weather treatment system. I'll just start off by saying generally we have the combined system, which also includes the rainfall that we get, and that is primarily in the Seattle area, which is our combined system. And then outside of that, we have a separated system, which is the sanitary sewers are all in one pipe, and it does not include rainfall. Steve or Tiffany, do you want to chime in?
Sure, this is Tiffany. So yeah, wet weather treatment stations, as Sonia said, are part of our combined system where we have piping that receives both the sewage flow and then also stormwater flow from the impervious areas. And our wet weather treatment stations are the wet weather treatment plants that operate at times of heavy rainfall to treat the wastewater from those combined systems when the pipes are overwhelmed. So they are in our combined system. And then as Sonia mentioned, more of the east side of the system over, say, Bellevue and that area are in separated systems where there are separate pipes for wastewater and stormwater.
All right, next question, how is treated water distributed for use on fields, etc.?
I'm going to pass that question over to Steve and Tiffany.
Thanks, Sonia. Hi, everyone. This is Steve Tolsman. So there is limited distribution of recycled or water that's been treated to a high enough standard to be recycled for non-potable irrigation water. There's limited distribution of that available currently through pipe networks from our Brightwater treatment plant and from our South treatment plant in Renton. So it's transported there by pipes, small diameter pipes generally, and used at those locations.
Thanks. Great question up next. Can you briefly outline how your regional engagement process worked? Curious about who took part and how.
Really great question, Sonia, again. We have a very robust regional engagement approach that we started implementing in 2019. We engaged with, started off building our roster of interested new and interested parties with the networks that we had within our wastewater treatment division, and definitely reaching out to other organization and community-based organization to partake in the outreach and engagement activities. We did various tools and techniques to engage with the communities. So things like online open houses, as I mentioned earlier, in-person briefings to different organizations, as well as being in attendance at summer fairs and festivals. So we're calling them our engagement swim lanes, where we kind of tailor our engagement approaches to different audience types and their levels of interest. And we're continuing to deploy that engagement approach throughout the year, throughout 2020 and throughout 2021, because this is a long-term process. So I'm gonna invite Kelly to join, because she's one of the team members for the regional engagement team.
Sure. Yeah, this is Kelly. I think, Sonia, you covered that well. The only thing that I would add, a few other things that we'd done in 2019 were interviews with community-based organizations. We also have an advisory group that we've been working with. We conducted a workshop last spring. Moving forward, we're excited about a new engagement technique that we're working on. We've partnered with several community-based organizations to do targeted outreach to some of the underrepresented communities that we historically haven't necessarily heard from in our decision-making processes. So I'm looking forward to that. If there are ways that folks on the line think that we can improve our engagement techniques, we are certainly welcome all of your feedback, and would appreciate any feedback you have for us. So thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Kelly. And I'll just add one more thing. If you go to our project website, which is kingcounty.gov/Clean Water Plan, in our library section, we have our Clean Water Plan 2019 outreach summary, which basically is a compilation of all the activities we did last year. It tells you what we did, when it occurred, who attended, and what we got out of that outreach. So it's a really great document to see what we've done so far. So I'll just plug that.
Great. Okay, next question. Can you share information about SEPA?
Great question. This is Sonia again. So in terms of SEPA, I'll talk a little bit about the engagement part of SEPA, and then I'll pass it along to Steve and Tiffany to talk more about the technicalities. There will be 2 opportunities during the SEPA process where the public will be able to chime in and provide input on the scope of the Clean Water Plan. So the first phase of the SEPA process is the SEPA scoping period, where it'll likely occur in Q2 of this year, where we go out and share what we're planning to do with the plan. And then later this year and early next year, we'll engage in the second part of the SEPA process, which is the draft environmental impact statement. And that is where there will be another opportunity to comment, and we'll provide that information as well.
Great. Another question, where can we sign up to receive updates on the Clean Water Plan?
Sorry, Darcy, I just wanted to jump back. There was a second part of that question that I was hoping Steve and Tiffany could chime in on.
Oh, sorry.
No worries.
Sure. Thanks, Sonia. I'll follow up a little bit on the SEPA question. Yeah, in addition to those elements of engagement that Sonia mentioned, and we do look forward to engaging with everybody on that. Sonia mentioned the scoping process. So scoping is the formal initiation of the SEPA environmental impact statement process. We anticipate an environmental impact statement associated with the Clean Water Plan because this is going to involve significant government decision making. So we were inviting everybody during scoping to provide input on some of the technical aspects of the plan, the water quality investments that are being considered, for example, and we'll be sharing more about those in our scoping notice and related material that goes out with our scoping notice. We'd also want to hear from people during the scoping period on how those should be evaluated and considered within the environmental impact statement. I'll also note that once we get to the environmental impact statement, that would be, as Sonia was referencing, another opportunity for input, and that would be a draft environmental impact statement comes out first, where we are reporting out on the different SEPA or State Environmental Policy Act elements of the environment and what impacts are seen associated with those relative to actions taken or potentially different actions taken under the plan. So that's some of the opportunity for technical input that'll be provided under SEPA.
Okay, great. Sonia, we ready for the next question?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so that one was, where can we sign up to receive updates on the Clean Water Plan?
Great question. So if you haven't signed up already, there's a place on our project website at kingcounty.gov/Clean Water Plan, and there's a button that you can press that says join the conversation. So once you do that, put in all your information and email, that means you'll be signed up onto the Clean Water Plan listserv, where you'll get updates about engagement activities, updates about where we are in the process, and way to stay involved.
Next question is, are the remaining 3 topics going to be presented on future webinars?
Great, Sonia again. That's a really good question. As I mentioned earlier, we're trying to, this is a really complex project with a lot of complex decision areas to consider. So we're hoping that we'll use a webinar format or other types of engagement tools and techniques where we can share out information about the other 3. Based on this current state of public health, they may be in-person meetings or maybe not in-person meetings, but maybe continue to be virtual webinars or online open houses. The idea is that we will communicate out on the rest of the 3 topic areas. But it sounds like this webinar is well attended, so it's a really great opportunity, or great knowing that this platform is successful.
Great. Next question, someone has said, thank you for the informative presentation. Can you clarify, you say the plan is funded by wastewater rates. Because the plan will include investments in stormwater, are stormwater rates also a source of funding?
Great question. I'm gonna punt that one to Steve.
Thank you, Sonia. Yeah, the plan is a plan to guide the wastewater treatment division's investments. The wastewater treatment division does work in both a combined sewer system, which we've been talking about, which generally encompasses the city of Seattle, as well as a separated sewer system, which is generally speaking the south end of King County, north of Lake Washington, and the east side of Lake Washington. So the wastewater treatment division does take in stormwater. We do have a number of projects that are combined sewer overflow projects, which are handling stormwater. So that takes us to the place of considering stormwater in this plan. And it is funded through the wastewater treatment division's budget.
Great. Another really thoughtful question. What kinds of trade-offs do you foresee making as part of finalizing the plan?
Great question. This is Sonia. So as we mentioned, we have a lot of projects and things to consider down the line that have already been, you know, in our plan. So as the region is changing, as we have more and more pressures that we're facing in our utility and in the region, we have to prioritize how we're going to spend the money that we have to invest in water quality. So I'm also going to open it up to Steve and Tiffany and or Kelly, if you want to chime in on the trade-offs that we foresee making.
Yeah, this is Tiffany. I'll mention in that too. That's part of what this planning process is really looking at, is what kind of investments we can be making for water quality, and making sure that we explore a broad range of how we can address those through the wastewater system and their mechanisms. And in doing so, as we're looking at those investments and understanding what water quality impacts they have, we want to also make sure that we understand what other trade-offs there are, whether that's cost or greenhouse gas emissions or impacts to our local community, and what communities it may be impacting. So I can't say that we can answer yet what trade-offs we anticipate making, but it's definitely part of the process as we think about what investments we may be making.
Great. We've had a couple questions come in around nutrients, nitrogen, phosphates. So the question is, how are impending nutrient limits being incorporated into this process?
Thanks for that question. I think the best people to answer that will be Steve and Tiffany.
Thanks, Sonia. This is Tiffany again. So that's a great question. And I've also seen a couple other questions about removal of other compounds like pharmaceuticals. So along with our nutrients, say nitrogen, which the Department of Ecology is looking very closely at right now, as well as more other compounds and toxics that may be in the wastewater stream. So again, I mentioned that we'll be looking at a broad array of different investments we could be making. And particularly when it comes to our wastewater treatment plant investments, we'll be looking at both what it would take to add processes to our wastewater treatment plant that can treat the water to a higher level. So that would be treating it to a higher level to remove nutrients, as well as potentially looking at what it would take to treat it to a higher level to remove more trace compounds. And then the other thing I'll add is that as we're also thinking about what we can remove from the treatment process itself, we're also looking at how there may be other ways to reduce having a lot of those trace compounds end up in the wastewater stream. So there are other actual product stewardship and source control methods that all of us can take to make sure that the trace compounds don't actually end up in the waste stream, and that we don't have to remove them at the end of the pipe.
Okay, good questions. Another question, is there a major decision or deadline driving the planning, or is it more of a periodic update to support rate proposals?
Thanks for that question. I'm going to pass that question to Steve.
Hi, everyone. Steve Tolzman again. So the last time the county did a major plan along those lines was called the Regional Wastewater Services Plan. Excuse me. So these plans happen occasionally from time to time, and they usually lay out a path forward for several decades ahead. Wastewater infrastructure are large investments. They're large investments that take a large amount of time in order to do. So taking this investments should be made as essential, and these kind of come up more on a decadal cycle. And then the final thing I'll say on that is I'll go back again to the drivers or the trends that Sonia reviewed in the presentation. And those are a lot of what brings us to this point in time where we're thinking it's time to take another look and set up a strategy for the decades ahead to implement.
Great. Another good question, what is the role of the general public, so landowners, businesses, citizens, nonprofits, and public-private sector in this conversation?
Thanks for that question. I'm going to give this one to Kelly.
Thanks, Sonia. Yeah, this is Kelly. You know, the role of public input in this plan is critically important. We, to date, have been asking the public to provide information about their priorities for water quality, and we've used those priorities in part to shape some of the issues that we're looking at in the plan. In addition, as we move forward, we also hope that feedback from the public can help us pull together different options for a strategy for the future that ultimately reflects people's priorities. I think kind of going back to the basis, in the absence of a plan, we could spend our region's money and time on projects that maybe wouldn't reflect the region's priorities and might not have the impact on water quality that we'd like to see. So it's critically important that we hear from you, and we'd really like it if you can sign up for updates and jump in on engagement efforts that we're planning in the future. And if there's ways that we can better engage you, please let us know.
Great. Another question about engagement. Are there engagement activities with universities, water professionals, and other experts through water and/or professional associations?
Great question. This is Sonia again. I'll try to take this one. We have a number of connections with the University of Washington and other communities in the region as well. We're definitely looking for opportunities to engage with other universities and community colleges. We have a very strong network of water professionals and experts through various organizations and professional associations. So we try to think about our engagement as different nodes and how we can spread our tentacles out into the communities. So as Kelly mentioned, we are more than happy to chat with your organizations or your university communities to teach you more about the issues and decisions we're facing in the plan. Kelly, do you want to add anything to that, or Steve and Tiffany?
No, I think you covered it.
Great.
Okay. One person wants to know about non-dispersible material that gets passed through pipes. How much is there, such as wipes, paper towels, and such? And another question is that does that get hauled off to landfills?
Really, really good question. We have a really great education team that goes out to create awareness with the public and schools and communities about what should and shouldn't go into your toilets and drains. And so, the three things, or the three P's: poop, puke, and pee, goes down your pipes, but we also get the additional wipes and towelettes and things like that should not be in the system. So we do have a bar screening system once all that stuff gets to the plants, and it does get into, we transport that to landfill. I'm gonna open it up to Tiffany or Steve if they want to add to that.
Thanks, Sonia. This is Tiffany. Sonia actually gave a great answer there, and I'll just reemphasize that not only our system, but also other wastewater treatment systems throughout the country are actually seeing an increase right now in wipes being flushed. And so I'll just use this as another opportunity to encourage people not to flush wipes. They actually cause a lot of issues with not even just at the treatment plant, but with pumps and other facilities as we're trying to convey the wastewater to the treatment plants. So encourage all your friends not to flush any type of wipe down the toilet.
Great. Good questions. Next person says, I just want to highlight the importance of wastewater treatment and keeping us all safe from pathogens. Our current pandemic is showing us how vital wastewater treatment is. So thank you for undertaking the Clean Water Plan in this context. Great, thanks for that. Next question, has King County quantified the potential climate and carbon impacts of bringing all treatment up to tertiary treatment?
That's a great question. I'm gonna pass it along to Steve or Tiffany.
Thanks, Sonia. Again here. So this is a great example of one of the things that we will be working to quantify and understand and consider in trade-offs at the different investment opportunities that we're looking at as part of the plan. So as we look at tertiary treatment, which is a more advanced level of treatment than our current facilities have, part of what we'll be considering and calculating is what those potential climate and carbon impacts are. So stay tuned.
We've got time for just a couple more here. Next one is, are there any challenges from low flow regulations and the removal of surface water to the system? Because the point at which that would actually be helping to move the solids through the system, including wipes and other quote unquote flushables.
I'm going to pass that question to Tiffany.
Thanks, Sonia. And so there's a similar question around how is the current public health situation and the potential for people working from home more and how that might be impacting flows. So we actually have seen a reduction in flows over the last 10 to 15 years because of how well our region has done through water conservation. And so what that does is we do receive enough flow that we can normally flush the solids through the system. That's not as big an issue. But we are seeing that our treatment plants are becoming more solids limited than flow limited because the same amount of solids travel through. And so in the same token around how is the current public health situation and more people working from home impacting us, we're not, as far as I know, I haven't checked the actual data, but we're not seeing a large change in flow, mostly because there are normally people that are also working from office buildings and whatnot during this time. And again, we have a lot of a flow that comes into the system on a daily basis as well.
Great.
Yeah.
What asset management tools are WTD using to extend the service life of its most important assets?
Great question. Asset management is definitely something we are considering in this plan. So I'm going to pass that along to Steve.
Thank you, Sonia. Hi, everyone. Steve here again. And so as far as tools, we use a variety of different tools, and you know, for the sake of simplifying it, it's a lot of it is computer-based reliability software that tracks needed maintenance and upgrades that facilities need over time in order to keep them at their proper working order. I guess I would expand the context on the question just a little bit in regard to asset management and try to make a more broad point, and it relates back to the large infrastructure nature of this plan. When you make large investments in infrastructure, they usually last for a period of decades, and then there's a point in time when they, not the entire facility, but even as you're taking care of the facility, much of the facility all comes to the end of its useful life at one point in time. And again, I stress even with proper maintenance. So with 2 regional treatment plants we have here, 2 of them were built in the 1960s. They have been taken care of over time. However, once the facilities get past 50 years, that just means more and more investment is needed in order to keep them at a serviceable or beyond at a proper working order. You can have the best tools in the world, however, everything reaches the end of its useful life eventually.
Okay, thank you, Steve. Unfortunately, we are about at the end of our question and answer period. Thanks very much to everyone who chimed in with those thoughtful questions. So I will hand it over to Kelly to wrap us up.
Great. Well, thanks again to everyone for joining us today. We hope the session was helpful in explaining the issues that we're considering as part of the plan and the process we're following to develop the plan. Please don't hesitate to reach out if you have questions or feedback via email or phone. Please also sign up for email or text updates on our website. As a reminder, again, we'll be posting the webinar on our website along with other supporting materials in the coming weeks. So you can share it with those that maybe weren't able to attend. And for questions that we weren't able to get to here today, we'll also put together a summary of those and post them to the web. So thanks again.